All right. So we're back on a Wednesday afternoon. Let's see. I had to pull my TV out again. It just makes it a little bit easier. I'm actually going to kind of move things around this evening and see if I can't get a better spot for it so that I'm not doesn't look like I'm like, oh my God, I'm over here like I'm talking to somebody that doesn't exist. Um, so anyway, today I'm going to continue on working on some VCC stuff, and I've shifted gears from the debugger, which is actually in a better place now, into doing some general fixes. And the reason why I've done that is I'm actually waiting for an update that is going to hopefully happen in the future. Now I've submitted a patch or a set of code changes for uh, to better support newer versions of Visual Studio. Um, kind of break the dependency on MFC, which just really isn't at all necessary. Um, and make it so even if there is still support for Visual Studio like 2015 or whatever to support Windows XP, which I don't have anything against it per se, but anything like that isn't going to get that way. You don't have to download some extra packages. You don't have to download a 500 meg or 1 gig or 5 gig install DVD to get an old that older version, or to update configure newer Visual Studio to support MFC and some of the other stuff, because the way the libraries um, are linked in. That kind of stuff has changed from 215 to I think that kind of broke stuff in. I think it was either 2017 or 2019. So some of that stuff is going to uh, certainly get in the way. And I'm hoping that some of the changes that I've submitted are actually going to alleviate that. Now, give me a second. I'm going to get this up on Facebook, just to let everybody know, because right now I'm just talking to fucking nobody. Let's see, copy link address, and let's do this. All right, so now I need to have something clever. Um, mm, if you want to help figure out where to start, man. See, I'm like talking and not doing anything. I should have planned for this, but I'm running behind today. I was hoping to start this around noon, but I had some other things to take care of, and I need to get. I had to eat, man. I was just starving. I was just starving. I don't know why. I just it's like all of a sudden I got like really hungry. What you can do? No. All right. So, and for those of you who don't know, I've actually technically been a kind of a part of the new VCC team for quite some time now. I just haven't made a whole lot of contributions or changes, or submitted a lot of changes since I added support for the GMC cartridge. Now that doesn't mean that I haven't done some work on VCC. In fact, I've done a fair amount of work with profiling and other stuff. And I got to admit, I did find it, a bit difficult to get some of the stuff in there and to get it organized. In fact, there's some stuff I just said, screw it, I'm gonna, I'll fix this later, because I'm gonna redo the profiling, because it was more of an experiment, for me. But I needed to get something in there to kind of measure the performance on Kumiko, and I'd like to integrate it with the new debugger, which is why I spent a fair amount of time and everything. It was a total of like 10 or 11 hours um, refactoring those to kind of break the cycle of kind of lumping stuff onto the existing code base in its current state. And I'll be completely upfront. The code base is actually pretty bad. and like I've said in my other videos, is that this is nothing that's on like Bill or any of the other recent contributors. I mean, the original code base itself um, is just problematic from start to finish. So some of the things that I'm going to be stepping through today, if you've been wanting to get into to VCC and you find that it's a little bit daunting, um, maybe you just don't know where to start, and hopefully this will clear some of it. And keep in mind, I mean, adding new features is certainly great. But some of the things that I'm going to be covering in this particular range of videos or series of videos and the refactoring of it um, are far more important. Okay, and then I say that because the quality of code, the overall quality of code, its maintainability, its stability is important for this program to continue maturing. I mean, if something isn't done eventually, this project will probably die. That's just how it is. And VCC is actually a fairly significant part of the Cocoa community. There are a lot of people that use it. There are a lot of people that prefer it, either that or XROR or even OVCC, because it's lighter than MAME. Um, and of course, being lighter, if the code base was, just a little bit better than what it was now, it'd actually be easy to add, um, some new features to support stuff. In fact, Bill mentioned one of the things where there's, in the joystick code that I'm working right now, there is support for audio. And based on what he said, this was originally intended so that you could do like digitizing. So if you load up, was it soundtracks I forget, maybe it wasn't soundtracks, but there's the sequencer, where you can actually digitize um, uh, your uh, your instruments, right there in the application. So being able to utilize that stuff, um, and doing that from either an external device that's say connected into the sound card, or kind of integrated, I guess, with the joystick stuff. Now, integrating that kind of stuff with like the joystick controller stuff, probably not the greatest idea. But the problem here is that the code isn't used. It's been there. Nobody's going to update it. Nobody really wants to add anything to it because the rest of the code is difficult to work with. And so some of the things I'm going to actually be going through within this series should actually help that. And if and keep in mind, if you're light, if you haven't done a whole lot of work with in C or C++, because there is a shift that will be going, at least with the code that I'll contribute, going from C to C++. Don't let that don't let that be a deciding factor of not to do something, because you can learn a tremendous amount of things from working in a code base like this. And really, the number one important thing that you'll take away from it is how not to do shit. And that's incredibly important. Knowing how not to do stuff is going to keep you from getting in trouble, because you may not know, immediately or right away what the solution to a problem is, but you're going to be saying, well, I know I shouldn't be doing it that way. And that's going to help avoid a lot of problems. It's going to avoid a lot of wasted time. And so my experience with VCC is that it's very difficult to understand, um, simply because of the way that it's written. And there are a tremendous number of bad practices that you'll find in this code base, and fixing that kind of stuff is significantly important. And even if you are light in C or C++, you can actually contribute to those. And you can do it with a fair amount of confidence. And of course, one of the big things that I think prevents people from doing that, one is, the code base is just not great. But is that, getting up to, having to download, an older version of Visual Studio. A lot of people have, newer versions of the community that maybe they keep up to date. Maybe they play around with Unity, which, you're going to want a newer version of Visual Studio for working in that. So it actually becomes a hassle, and that really does kind of turn people off. And then, dealing with that code base does. And just as an example, let me pull this up here. Let me go back, because we're working in the joystick code today, and let me see this. Where did I put it? I have to go over here to my other window. Okay, joystick. Okay. Um, yeah, and of course, and you'll hear me complain about, a lot of minor things along the way. The lack of filters in here. I mean, I've got an icon here, mixed in with my code. It's like, so I've got to search. Okay, so we're looking for joystick. And did I change that? What changes did I do to that? Get rid of that font. Diff. I must have done something. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll get into that here in a minute. And let's see, the other code. So we got joystick, and the other was the config. Okay. So let's do this. Let's search. Yeah, let's see. I need joystick input. All right. So we're gonna let's do controller type. Okay. So everywhere where you see controller type here in this list, I mean, and this is 39, just for this. Let's find a good spot right here. Now, before I made these changes, this code looks something like this. These aren't the actual values that were there, but this is essentially what it is. Okay. So when somebody comes into a code base like this, they're looking, okay, joystick type, left joystick, okay, that you can kind of claim. And before this was named something else. This was like use mouse, which you'd expect to be a Boolean. Um, but so I changed that. But it looked like this. Okay, so you're going to see a piece of code like this. You're like, okay, what is 4 and what is 1? I don't know what these values are. So now you have to go and look. And if you actually happen to change one of those values, each one of these 39 instances is going to be affected by that in some way. Even if they don't use that particular route, they're going to be affected by that in some way in most cases. And that makes it difficult to do. So actually going in and saying, hey, these things don't look right. They're confusing. They're hard to figure out. But I want to have some more clarity in this code. Going in and making a change like this, incredibly valuable. Incredibly valuable. Why? Because the next person who has to go in and look at this code is going to have a much better idea of what's going on because you've already done some fix it. You've already done a little bit of work for them. So they're going to know, oh, okay, better understanding of it. Another reason why that's valuable is by having that understanding, um, people are less prone to introduce problems. I'm not saying they aren't going to get introducing, but they're less prone to introduce problems, and particularly problems that you don't find until after it's been released, and then you've got something that's broken. So even doing little things like this can be a tremendous help. Now, and keep in mind that in doing this, just making that little change required me to do some other changes. So you might actually have to write, just a little bit of code to help support it. And you know, you may not have an idea of what would be an effective way of tackling that. Well, there's actually a group that you can ask, and there are certainly people that can do it. But even if you can't get an answer from someone like who's involved with VCC, you can certainly ask on, well, depending on the nature of the question. I'm sure there's in Stack Exchange, any one of the sites, the code review site, design, Stack Overflow. If you have a programming question and you're actually willing to ask a legitimate, structured, well, well composed question, you're going to get an answer for that, and that answer is going to be incredibly valuable for you. So doing things like that, help not just you if you're, kind of, weak on that, because you're gonna go in and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna take away something from that. You're gonna understand the value of doing something like this, and that's going to help you later on. You're also going to help other developers so that they have to spend less time trying to figure this shit out in order to do what they want to do. So yeah, and it does take a handful of people to kind of go into this because the code base is kind of bad, but at the same time, and this is based on decades of experience, as a professional software developer, it is not without redemption. I mean, this can be refactored. It doesn't have to be rewritten. Some things just outright need to be replaced. There's a lot of things in the user interface that don't need to be rewritten. They just need to be refactored a little bit to support better things like this. Better code is what you're going for. So and I guess for that, I mean, there's best practices, and then there's everything else. And best practices are pretty well known. I mean, um, you can't just do a search and not find anything about best practices for C++, for C, JavaScript, C Sharp. Doesn't matter what language you're in. Doesn't matter. You can, and this stuff is really easy to learn, but it's hard to actually force yourself to to adhere to that kind of stuff because people think that this kind of stuff is just there to be formal, to be pretty and all that. No, it's there to prevent you from fucking something up. I mean, that's what it is. It is there to prevent you from screwing something up, wasting your time, and because when you do stuff like this, when you do stuff like that, what you end up with is a code base that is difficult to understand, difficult to maintain. And if this project is something that you're working on, you're going to get halfway through it and give up. And even if you do finish it, you're never going to want to go back and revisit that code because of how difficult it is to work with. And if you do actually happen to go back, you're going to find that you're wasting time doing all kinds of things, making changes here and there because it just doesn't work well for you. A lot of that can be taken care of ahead of time. So one of the things that the VCC team really does need is people helping out in this respect. And I think that there are several dozen people in the community that could actually jump in and get started. But um, code base, the quality of it is kind of a turnoff. Kind of a turnoff. May make you not want to, but don't be afraid of that. Look at it as just a problem that needs to be solved. There's a problem in this code. We need to solve it, fix it, and make it better. And even if you're doing just something small like this, the value is very high. And that doesn't just translate to the developers that are working on it, the developers that are contributing to it. That extends to the community that uses VCC as well. Now, it may not be flashy. It may not be something that you get some instant gratification from because you can see something on the screen, um, but that doesn't mean it's not valuable. So anyway, I think it's time to get started. In fact, let me check over here because I need some development music, and I've actually got um, the afternoon. I actually I could not sleep last night. It's like I watched Ghostbusters, and every time I watch Ghostbusters, I wake up several times a night thinking I'm getting a blowjob, and it just never happens. I mean, you only see that kind of shit in the movies. That I mean, them ghosts, man, they're tricky. So. Let me get some music up here before I start really diving into shit. Um, and okay. Oh yes, there was this because and there was a statement and it confused me, so I asked the guy about it today. Where did it go? Okay, we got this. Let me click on this because this was holy shit. This okay. You know what? I'm gonna have to save this because I oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna be addressing this one. Grigori uh, Macario Harbs. Now I get the Grigori. I can almost pronounce that correctly. I can't pronounce I don't know if it's his like the first part of his last name or if it's his middle name. I some of those some of the some of the things is like a cultural thing. But yeah, oh I'm gonna yeah I think I'm gonna shred that comment. Grigori, you are on my you are on my list. All right, so let's get into let's get into doing this and let's take a quick review. Okay, so yesterday I added in these enumerators. Now you may not be familiar with enum class. Okay, this creates a scoped enumeration, which means that I can't just simply use normal or software high res. I have to scope it completely with this. Okay, it's certainly certainly helpful, and it helps to not have to do stuff like this in your code. Prepending it with something. I mean, you're already in that scope. You already know what it is, so you can keep those inner names or those inner definitions with short names, and I tried to hopefully reflect them. Now, in the audio stuff, that audio input that I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm going to be removing that. Okay, it's dead weight. And if somebody wants to implement it, that's fine. But what's in there right now is it gets in the way of everything else. And so until that particular feature is implemented, it does not belong here. Don't say okay, I'm going to do this because I'm going to add this feature in later on, because add it in when you add that feature in. Don't do stuff like that, because that's going to get in the way. Now, these right here are character codes, and I think device is like an index. So, that some of that is going to have to change. But, that whole thing is going to be updated. And I also found a bug in which the device or the instance device instances were not being released properly. So I added a COM deleter here that will help us, and we can use we'll use I'm using a unique pointer to manage the lifetime of that. So as soon as this as soon as this goes away, this is released back to the system. Whether it's actually deleted or not doesn't matter. I don't know, and I don't care. Um, Technically, this should probably be a shared pointer, if only for the semantics of the COM interface. Those tend to be kind of globally accessible. But in this case, we want to keep it as a unique pointer because we are the only owner. Nobody else should be owning this, at least at this time. At least at this time, I don't think so. But even if it does, we'll change this one down here to um, a shared pointer, but we'll still take a unique pointer. Here's the device, so that we know that that transfer of ownership is good. So then you got things like the left.js, right.js. Those certainly help, but not convinced they actually belong here. They certainly shouldn't be in the global scope. Now this one I added to support public access to this for the time being, and so that I can make it const. So you can't change the vector, you can't change the contents of it, but actually you can change the contents of it, but you cannot. So less ability to muck it up. This will go away. And then you got these functions here. I'm assuming that some of this is new. You've got some things you proceeded with VCC, some aren't. So you've got a little bit of inconsistency, and not necessarily a terribly egregious problem, but certainly annoying, because it's like, oh wait, this is this and this is that, but they're all kind of really in the same code base or the same area of code. And then you've got functions like this joystick. The fuck does that do? Joystick. So you have no idea what this is doing. You got your set button statuses and your set stick numbers. That kind of stuff should probably it definitely needs to go away. And stuff like that, you end up with uh, something like this. You've got all these separate variables for all of these things that you can really put into a struct. But by putting these into individual variables in the way that you have, it elicits code duplication. Um, you get something like where is it? Something like this. This is a small one. This is essentially the same. This is the same functionality from here and here. The only difference is which joystick that it's working on, the left one or the right one. So that needs to be compressed down into a single function. Just small stuff like that. And then you've got bigger ones like this. You've got all of this logic here, which is duplicated. And one's for the left, one's for the right, and one's for the phase, and the other is for the phase. And this is as far as I can tell at the moment, this is button down and button up kind of logic. But this here is the same as this, is the same as this, is the same as this. The only difference is the variables that they're accessing do it. You change that to a structure, and you end up with essentially one function. The problem that VCC has right now is that with code like this, if I want to make a change up here, I got to make it here, I got to make it here, and I got to make it here. That's a turn off. If I'm because I'm duplicating the same logic, I have to maintain, I have to debug, I have to test that thing 4 different times. Okay, so getting in and helping reduce the duplicate code is another thing which brings a great value, because it means that the VCC team, which is limited in the number of members, as you get stuff down, you start reducing. It makes it easier for them to do it. As you start to reduce this, reduce these duplicate code down and switch enumerations, get actual values, something symbolic in there. You gain experience with it, and you become more effective at actually adding it and start adding new features or fixing other things, and you can branch out there. So this kind of stuff is certainly important. So we're going to be refactoring this. We're going to be getting rid of that. We are going to be adding values to this. I mean, we've got btemp. Okay, what is btemp? Tells me nothing what it is. Okay, what is a side? Side what? Side the set button status is this left or right? Is this state? Where are these values coming from? What is this bit? I mean, understanding what the fuck this thing is doing, you actually have to dig into other code to figure it out. You shouldn't have to. Shouldn't have to. And again, you've got one for the left button or one for the left joystick and one for the right joystick, and then you've got all of these. So these are uh, things that, and I have a sneaky suspicion that this right here, these values, um, are specific to the Cocoa. I think they may be specific to what's coming out of the Cocoa, because in fact we can check that out right now. So you have to do a lot of searches. You have to say, okay, what is this doing? Okay, this is side. Yeah, this is coming from VCC. L button down, right button down. So you've got 0, 1, 0, 2. So it's left or right. Something that you could probably do with an enumeration, but this kind of stuff. So we'll be doing that. We're also going to be kind of uh, object orienting the code. So there's and I tell you what, this as I'm talking about this message is that Grigori posted. Man, I'm getting up track, man. This message, boy. This is God. That's a terrible answer. No offense there, Grigori, but boy, you're off base. Uh-oh, we got some Sir Mix-a-Lot. Baby got back. So I think I'm gonna get high before I do this. And yes, actually, it certainly can help to get totally stoned before you jump into code like this. I don't recommend it. I've been doing this for decades, so I've got a bit of an advantage. All right, so well, that was a little harsher than I thought. Man, I gotta talk to my guy, man. I don't actually have a guy. I've got somebody behind a counter because here in Nevada, it's recreational weed is actually illegal here. So don't think. So if you think less of me, fuck you. I don't care. Um, so yeah, you've got things like this where um, let's see, yeah, joystick input config. So there's a lot of stuff to do here. Now, one of the things that I did last night when I got done was I decided to kind of dig into some of the usage of this stuff and where it sits within the code base to kind of determine where I want to take some of this and how I want to structure it. So there's actually three pieces here. You've got the joystick code, which is a lot of what we're working on here. You've got the user interface, which is really a client for this. In fact, let me pull this up here. Configuration. Okay, so you got the joystick. So this dialog box here relies on the joystick code and joystick input C to get information for all of this and set up, let you make changes, configure. This right here is a lot of the stuff that um, you see in here for up, down, left, right, fire one, fire two. All of these values get translated into something there. Um, Now, in that particular example, I was like, you could probably do like an enumeration there, um, but yeah, I really I don't know if I would recommend that here because you're dealing with key codes which are they are kind of set in stone, I guess, in this, but typically that's not something that you do. But so you've got this audio thing up here, which of course is used, which we'll remove that at some point. First of all, I don't believe that this belongs in the joystick um, configuration. I don't, because this is going to come from an audio source. It's certainly going to connect to the joystick, but yeah, this is probably doesn't necessarily belong here, although probably working into to where it does. Um, so anyway, so you've got this, and then you have uh, the uh, the emulation side of things that has to access um, the joystick um, code in order to get the values. It's like, oh, okay, where's this value? So, and really, there's actually kind of a fourth part. You've got the main UI here, which so when your mouse moves over this particular window, it translates that and sends it over to the joystick controller interface so that you can support that. So technically, you actually have three clients to this piece of code. And thing is I don't want to refactor this code and break the other stuff that uses it. And I'd like to kind of keep those changes to a minimum at the on the client side, at least for the time being, just as a kind of a stability point. You don't want to make too many changes to that. Now, certainly some will happen. Some have already happened, in order to support these enumerations. Um, but there are a couple of changes that are going to have to be made to affect that because there are some things in here which are just make it really terrible to work with. Um, and there's also a couple of items that really need to change because they're just not an effective solution. In fact, I wouldn't say that they're even a solution at all, even though they do seem to work. And one of those is here. Let's go up here. Okay. So at various points, and in fact, I think even in the UI, it keeps track of the stick number. Okay, and what it does is it goes through and it enumerates all of the devices all of the input devices that are available. All the game controllers. Okay, all the game controllers, which and actually this could do keyboard as well, but we'll leave that for later, much later. Um, so and it enumerates that and it stuffs it into this input device list. Okay, before or input device vector. Now before this was just an array. You had a counter that said how many were in there and blah 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 and all that. But these stick numbers are used to reference or to index into this vector to grab a particular thing. The problem, however, comes if you add a new input device, you plug in a new joystick, and it comes up before the one that you got now. Well, instead of being joystick 1, it's now joystick 2. But when you load up VCC, you're going to be using joystick 1 because that's what joystick number you have selected from that list. So there's a bit of a problem there with that. Now that's not really a minor or a major issue because not often that you can be plugging stuff in, plugging out, so it's not that, but it is a problem. Um, and that problem is actually a side effect of this particular implementation and the approach that was used to do it. And so that was one of the things that really concerned me last night when I started looking into where to go next. And certainly it's obvious that kind of construct needs to go away. That is it's just not going to work moving forward. Um, but I need to find a better way to track that. And so I did a little bit of digging. I grabbed, pulled up my tablet, my iPad. Yes, I actually have an Apple product. That's unbelievable, right? Um, and I pulled up some of the DirectX stuff, particularly the queries and the enumerations to see what information is actually available within those interfaces to better track that. So one of the things that it has is a GUID, or a globally unique identifier. Now this GUID is unique to um, not just to the input device, or the instance of that device, because you could have multiple devices on your machine that are all the same type. Um, but it's only unique to that machine. Okay, so if I were to take that configuration out of the registry, save it out, and go over to like that GUID is not necessarily going to be it's not going to be the same at all. There's no expectation that it's going to be the same because documentation tells me. So that is actually going to be using that GUID to identify it rather than a stick number is going to get a little bit more stability. But there's a lot of changes that have to be made because of that, because that stick number shit is quite ingrained into it. Um, I'm not necessarily, in some ways, it's actually a side effect of working in an imperative paradigm. Imperative programming paradigm is certainly, but more so, it's just shitty code. I'll just say it right now. It's crap. It's a really terrible way to approach things. And look, I appreciate the original author for the effort and the amount of work that certainly goes into this. But at the same time, there's just problems that need to be taken care of, man. So, and getting people involved in that is certainly important. And I think that a lot of people do find it daunting and don't want to get into it. So we're gonna start looking at some stuff today. We really need to get kind of three things here. Um, and the goal here is not simply to not just to refactor it or to make the code a little bit better or to make it a little more manageable, but um, to eliminate the details that it's leaking. I mean, there are places all over, like and of course you expect some things in the UI, but there is a kind of a symbiotic relationship between uh, several parts of VCC and the joystick code that just shouldn't exist. I mean, and each one of those pieces has to know details about the joystick stuff that they really don't need to know. I mean, there are ways to abstract and do that. So that's going to be one of the things that I changed. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple of different pieces to this. We're going to kind of separate this, split it up a little bit so that um, each little piece that is being used here um, more manageable and is usable in the places that it needs to be. So you got a couple of different aspects to this. You've got, first you've got the list of available devices, um, kind of a catalog of sorts. In fact, probably name it a catalog. Um, so you go out, you enumerate the joysticks. You've got this list here. You've got certain data that is taken from DirectX or the direct input and made a little bit more generic, I guess you could say, to kind of split that um, the details of that implementation. I mean, because really, I don't care if it's direct input or if it's SDL. I don't care which one it is, as long as it gives me the same information. So kind of providing that layer of abstraction, then of course encapsulating the behavior, getting those details or the need to know those details out of the mainline code and moved somewhere far more appropriate. Now there are certainly things in here that I'm not going to be fixing at the moment. Things like this DirectX is defined in or direct input version. This kind of stuff is defined in several places. It really it's a terrible way to do that because I could define DirectX 9 and another header. I might end up with some conflicts. So, and then we actually have some additional stuff that's going to have to be, accounted for, not just the get scan that's already ingrained into it, and it's not just renaming that, but where did it go? Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe it was somewhere else that I was looking at. oh yeah, right here. Start Tandy. You've got two functions here: start Tandy and start Cocomax. And this is kind of an example of the details that need to be known outside of this. Which does the rest of the does the rest of the program really care if the input is emulating um, a Tandy joystick or a Cocomax or a Tandy high-res interface or a Cocomax high-res interface? Nick Marinas is SOC Masters, John Kowalski, their software high-res interface or just a regular Tandy. Does it really care? Or does it just say, hey, go do something? I'm doing something. Does it really care? Um, in one case, in one part, yes, because the trigger between Tandy and Cocomax is different. So that trigger to start that ramp up on whatever it is the pot that it reads from, those triggers are different. In fact, I can show you right here where it happens. This is 6821. It comes off of the PIA. So when you hit FF20, that starts the Tandy uh, uh, joystick. That kind of starts it ramping up. But when you do where is it? PIA 0, right? FF20. Find this. Yeah, PIA 0. Okay, FF00. Sorry. It kicks off the Cocomax high-res interface. So there's you've got two different ways to do this. So some knowledge is necessary, I guess. Uh, but at the same time, some of that can be eliminated. So we want to try so we have to take that into account. We do have a situation where some knowledge may actually end up being necessary in order to kick that off, which certainly we want to try to avoid that. But in this particular case, I think that we are going to try and eliminate that at some degree. And some of that is going to go into updating the where is it? This particular data structure right here, this system state. And there's actually two parts to this. You've got a system state, and then you've got kind of like a system context um, that that provides access to other components. If I'm in the 6821, I shouldn't have to know that I have to go out to the VC out to the joystick port. I should be able to trigger that off from here somehow, hopefully somehow. Um, and we'd like to be able to change it. Like right now, I've added the debugger here, and I've done it with composition rather than aggregation. So it's part of this data structure, but we want to switch it over to a pointer, a smart pointer, or maybe even a reference, so that it can change. I could actually add I'd like to have you've got the built-in debugger, which is really good for a lot of things, but I'd also like to be able to um, provide a GDB interface, the ability to connect with GDB and debug it that way. But at the same time, I don't want the rest of VCC to know or have to say, oh, do I do this or do I do that? It should just be able to do something and say and have everything that it needs to be happening. Um, Now you can certainly do this in an imperative language like C, but it requires a lot more discipline. And to be honest, I mean, to be quite frank, it actually requires a lot of work that you just don't need to do in an object-oriented language. So, um, and this is it's not a terrible situation because you've got within C++, like as I mentioned before, it's a multi-paradigm language. So you can do imperative programming like you do in C, or you can do object-oriented programming in C++. Um, you can mix it a little too, although I do recommend that if you are going to kind of go down that route, that you have a fair amount of experience in both, um, because you can get yourself into trouble, quite a bit. So, all right, so I'm gonna make sure that I've got a clean slate here. I want to get rid of that, so it's pushing that up. All right, diff. Oh, okay, cool beans. No problems. All right, where is what? Where the fuck did my oh? I stuck my cigarettes in my pocket. I don't know why. I always set them over here. Don't smoke, kids. It's bad for you. So, so what I'm going to be starting with is I'm going to be doing some moving this stuff around. But the direction I'm going to be going is that there is going to be at least two different components. First, you're going to have a catalog of interfaces of joystick devices and all of that. And that's going to be used should be used solely by the user interface, um, uh, or in the config dialog box right here to get a list and say, okay, this is you've got I've got my list of stuff, I got the name, I've got the identifier, and when I select it, I tell the joystick, which I'll have like an input manager kind of thing, that you say, hey, use this device for this joystick, and it'll go ahead and take care of um, all of that logic for you. That way you can get rid of it uh, out of the some of that logic out of the config. Now, where do things like that come in handy? Um, well, if I wanted to add a hotkey that switches between mouse, my joystick or just cycles through the different things, I could do that rather than having to go through and open up this. Something like that becomes a lot more easier without having to know a lot of the details about how it actually reads and handles the joystick stuff, which ends up being needed to know here because you've got to know all of these other details that are all intertwined that just shouldn't be there. So we're going to start with kind of separating some of this stuff out as uh, uh, well, I'd like to start by separating this out and getting a catalog, but um, one big actual pain in the ass has to be taken care of first, and that is the use of these sticks, these stick numbers. So, and this is, I don't know if I'm, let's see, you know what, stick, I'm just going to do, okay, so we've got 279 things of sticks. Now, a lot of this is just repetitive stuff. A lot of it is coming from the config, which will have to be updated. And the problem with that is that I'm not really sure if this kind of an update is going to allow um, an easy upgrade path in uh, in the config settings. Um, we'll see, but because we're going to be changing the way that we reference that, we're going to be changing from that stick number to a GUID, and that's probably going to be one of the more involved uh, tasks for this. So you've got your let's see, you've got your config. You see, a lot of the stuff is in the config, so that's which is good because that means that there's less opportunity to break things in the main emulator. So even if you got a couple of glitches that come up in the config, your stuff should still work. Now, of course, I'm not going to be writing any code that compensates for that possibility because that would be dumb. Um, so anyway, we've got stick stuff all over the place. Not all of it is some of it is like the thing. So let's do this. Actually, let's do a case sensitive search. All right, so not too much in the config there, but we've got plenty in the joystick, and some of it I think, and this is where the problem comes in. Let's see. Yeah, set stick numbers. Yeah, that is, so that just provides the X and the Y. So joystick pull, init joystick, and this is I should probably do this. Okay, yeah, stick number. We're gonna start just by doing a little bit of cleanup here so that we can look at our function list pretty easily. That's gonna be, we're gonna do key code. just to get a little. Okay, set mouse status. I don't know what the. Okay, scan code phase. Now I'm gonna leave that for because I'm gonna be changing that joystick is like X and Y. Set button status. Yeah, I like the peak definition. You know, it took me a while to decide and to get to embrace it, I guess, because you know it's like, oh shit, I'm pulling up code on top of code on top of code on top of code. I don't want that much code there, but I've embraced it. You know, see, temp one or temp two, what the fuck? Oh. So then, of course, these we know get kicked off from the see, and I don't. Yeah, see this data and next. Okay, next is needed, but data is not. That just comes from there, and that is probably still there to support disabled software stuff, which should just be deleted. We'll probably go through and do a scrub on this one. You know what? I'm just going to do this because I'm going to replace that stuff. Okay, so now this right here is going to be our key one that we're going to have to work with because it, you know, init joystick um, stick number. But there's nothing to really kind of associate that with a particular joystick, I don't think, or whether it's left or right. Yeah, see, this is just, you know, initializing that particular device. So now I've got a, so you've got the init, and I'm imagining that that comes from someplace else. Yeah, see this, and it probably happens in conjunction with set stick numbers. Um, okay, config, numerate joysticks, find joysticks temp. See, that's initialize that joystick, and that temp tells you what it is. And then we have set stick numbers. So yeah, this is all kind of, you know, tied in. And so that's something that we'll want to do. And really, you know, this whole thing of refresh joysticks, I mean, this logic really belongs to, say, a catalog or an input manager. I mean, to, you know, to have this in uh, the config, it just seems really out of place, you know, to me. But that something like that actually requires a little bit more effort to change because down here you've got this left joystick and right joystick stuff, which is um, actually, you know what? That belongs up. That's up in here too, isn't it? Oh no, where? Yeah, input say right up there at the top. So yeah, all that stuff kind of belongs, you know, in there. So that and I'm the flow just doesn't do it for me. So that's something that I'll change. But my goal is actually to change as little of the configuration code as possible, at least for the time being. At least for the time being, the joystick interface and stuff needs to be a little bit better before I'll even really, you know, think about doing too much surgery over here because, you know, you really just don't want to screw things up because you can end up in a worse place than you did before. So, you know, then, you know, little things like the static cast here, that'll go away. That will go away. Um, so where to start? So we've got to get the enumeration. You know what? I am going to um, yeah, that com deleter really kind of needs to go out. So we're going to add. Oops. Let's stop that. We're just going to add a new file. All right. I'll just stick it in a utils class. All right. We want our little copyright notice. I should probably start updating some of that stuff too. The date on it. At least have a comma 2022 maybe. You know, in fact, I'll do that right now. You know what? I'm going to leave that there because you start getting to that point, you start updating it for consistency. Now we want to stick this puppy over here. Uh, you know what? All right, there we go. So this is going to require a change for me. And we've got to, I can do this down here. So yeah, and like right here, this should not have any dependency on that at all. So why is that there? Get muck state. Okay, well we're gonna take this out of here and move it down here. I'm gonna drop a fix me on this. We'll figure out a way to work around that later. Um, so yeah, and don't take the changes that I'm making to be indicative of what anybody would necessarily have to do jumping into this. I mean, certainly there are some changes that have to be made that are going to have vast impacts. This one will have a fair amount of impact, but there's a ton of stuff that can be done in here to help improve it, make it more stable. That just a lot of little changes. For that, there needs to be more people, working on it. Like I said, don't be intimidated by the code base. Nothing really intimidating about it. It's just code. Um, it's just a collection of problems that need to be fixed. That's really all it is. Um, but yeah, you can gain tremendous amount of experience, and a lot of different ways from working on something like this. And even if you don't get to as far as you'd like, you'll still walk away with something significant. But man, I need another hit. That just wasn't enough. See if I can do this without coughing this time. All right. I should probably have some more deliveries. See, that's the great thing about living in Nevada, man. You can order a pizza, have it delivered to your door, and 5 minutes later you got wheat being delivered to your door. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I mean, most people never thought that at least in my lifetime you'd be able to walk into a store, hey yo, give me some wheat. Because that's exactly what it is. You walk into a store, you go and you show your ID, you walk into it. Of course, it's actually more controlled than you'll find in like a liquor store or something. Um, but yeah, they do I think a tremendous amount of business. I think it was I don't know, I think it was in the billion range of revenue this year. I mean, it was like 124 million is going to the schools, or 144 million in revenue, and I think like 118 of that is going to the schools. The rest of it goes to the administration of the organization. So yeah, man, your schools are running short, man. Weed is a great revenue maker, man. All right, so anyway, I'm going to dive into this. So we're going to have so first thing we're going to have to do is get some of this enumerated joystick and all of that into some type of a catalog so that we know what it is, and um, we are going to need to get rid of the left and right stick numbers, and replace those with some way to do that. We're gonna try to do that incognito. We're gonna try to do that in the joystick code so that the rest of the code doesn't see much of it. But we are going to have to update the configuration, so that it saves out the GUIDs and supports that rather than the stick numbers. Um, and you'll see what having that duplicate code in the way that it is in a lot of different places, you'll see why that becomes a problem. So yeah, and you'd be surprised at how easy it is to do this. So let's all right, start doing this. Okay, this is the stick number. So we're gonna need a GUID. We're gonna need the GUIDs coming here, but we also need to kind of save those out. So let's go up here. So I'm not convinced we actually need to save the device here. But is it the device? No, it is actually the instance, I think. Let's look at where we're creating one of these at. So you had to look this up because and it says even says it in the right there in the direct input documentation, um, for this particular member here. this GUID instance. This is the GUID of the globally unique identifier of that instance of that particular of that type of device. So if I've got two of these, oh wow, and a short ass cable. See this? That's my joystick. So if I got two of those plugged in, I'm going to have different GUIDs for each one. Um, and it's going to be pretty easy to figure out. So now you got the GUID of the product, which is not the instance. You could have two of the joysticks plugged in, and you will have the same. Both of those will have the same product GUID, whereas each instance will be different. And of course, as I said before, that GUID instance is different across machines, but it is unique to that device, and that doesn't change unless you go in or delete it and then redo it. So we're going to do a couple of things. So we need that. Oh, we've got that coming from the instance. Um, and of course, then there's a device associated with it. So I'm not sure if that device has a GUID instance. That's the DirectX device, and that's the device instance. So yeah, it's probably not going to have that. So what we're going to need to do is save this in with our other information, and that's pretty easy to do. Actually, it's instance GUID. Fucking C. All right, so we're gonna. So this is actually going to help better support some stuff. So later on, and this is eventually going to be known as just kind of a controller manager, controller catalog, rather than just joystick. Because I mean, I could hook up a trackball, I could hook up a keypad. It's not necessarily a joystick. Just one of those little things that I typically try to go for. It's like I like things to be named appropriately. Um, Not like anal about it, I guess, but yeah, I am. You know what? I'm gonna make all of these consts because this never changes. Says, and I gotta say, I've been working in uh, C sharp uh, consistently for a while now. In fact, all of the chaos tools are being implemented in C sharp. And that code base is huge. Um, but so going back to C++, there's I started out using like var instead of auto and all of that. So it takes a little bit to get used to. But the one thing that I absolutely miss um, is const correctness. Now in C sharp you have read only, and you do have const on I think it's only integral values, um, but it doesn't have const correctness. Now that's actually not really a limitation of the language itself. In fact, you could very easily add const correctness to C sharp. You'd still have some of the same idiosyncrasies that you have with C++, sure. But the reason for it not being there is nothing to do with that particular language itself. It's the SIL, the runtime that it runs on, and the intermediate language that it's compiled to. So in order to support const correctness in C sharp, it would have to be supported in the SIL, which would mean that every language that wants to use it would have to support const correctness in exactly the same way, which is just an unreasonable expectation for other languages. So that's why you don't have const correctness. But I gotta say, I really do miss it. I really, really do miss it because it I think it's a question. I've been of the opinion for quite some time that um, uh, things in well most programming languages, not all, should be immutable by default, and that means that you can't modify them. That you get what is it? Um, Functional programming, or at least strict functional programming. You don't have mutable variables. Everything is you don't have something that has state that has a side effect of calling a function. There's not going to be any side effect of it. It's actually quite an interesting way to an approach to development. Takes a little to get your head wrapped around the way that some of it works, but I think that is I think that's perfectly reasonable. My shit just keeps on going. I don't know. I think it's that ghost that won't give me a blowjob. I really do. So all right. So what do we want to do? Okay. So we've got the GUID instance. We have to. Oh, what did I do? Attempting to reference a deleted function. X memory. What? It's got to be that. Oh, I know what it is. Let's go back here. That's something I'll have to take care of later. So that'll take care of it. It's because I've got that sucker dropped in a vector. I'm gonna have to. GM has been deprecated and will be removed in a future release. What the hell? Oh, that's one of the build settings. Duh. Command line warning. D9. I always love these things. Let's see. You always just hit F1 on it. See what? Let's see. The compile option. Let's see. Option has been deprecated. SVC/GM. Oh, enable minimal rebuild. Really? They got rid of minimal rebuild? Damn, they must have some serious ass technology in there to compensate for that. All right, let's get my music back up here. It went off again. So, all right, so now we're back to good. I'll take care of that const correctness later. We're in a vector, and adding it as const causes the allocator to be ill-formed, so you can't do that. Yes, it's one of those benefits of actually having some experience with C++ is that something happens. I know why I don't like having to change my shit for it, but I do. So we've got our GUID. Now we've got to look at see, and with that, you'll have from rather than just knitting the joystick and having it go out into this device and look at the stick number, we're going to have it create or initialize that device, and we're going to have it create some type of a container for it that kind of encapsulates that a little bit. And we're going to pass that back, so that can be used by the UI to do whatever. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm doing a lot of this ad hoc. Um, I mean, it's not like I'm not thinking about stuff. I do go out and kind of try to look ahead, but um, I mean, if I had to do it, I mean, I would actually go through it. I would probably start by reviewing the entire code base. Which, I gotta say, if I went through and I actually did a code review on all of this stuff, your best case scenario would be one defect for every 5 lines of code. That is your absolute best case scenario on this. And which, I mean, and compared to, there's not like really an industry standard on that, but some places you'll have it 25 to 30, some will actually have 45, one defect for every 45 lines of code. But really, and on the other side of that spectrum of having like one defect for every 5 lines of code is NASA. NASA. I got a mad respect for these guys. So their defect rate is 0 defects for every 500,000 lines of code. I mean, you got to think about that, okay? Now, it's not actually zero because there's got to be a defect in there. But that fraction is so small that even NASA doesn't fucking care about it. That says something. I mean, that's some seriously solid code. Now, do I expect I will ever accomplish that? Well, if I go work for NASA, yep, every day. But I don't expect it to happen anywhere else. And certainly I don't expect it to happen here. So, for a project like this, I would say, anything, more than say one defect for every 25 lines of code is a problem. I would set it as 25 lines of code. That would be my thing here. So we've got to go through here, and we really want to get rid of the stick number. So this is going out and initializing this particular thing. The problem here is that I don't know if initializing this actually uh, should or can happen twice. Not really sure why these were here. I'm assuming for some kind of performance boost. But then we've got this enumeration, which does um, which enumerates the objects and apparently just initializes them. So that's cool. We can accommodate that. Um, yeah, this is by ID and then by type, and there's nothing like doesn't seem to be really anything like special here. So and this is only this is updating the axis, so your left, right, up, down, settings on the device. So we'll want to kind of figure out how to move like this into a controller instance, I guess is what we could do. We'll return that controller instance from here, and of course we're going to return it as a unique pointer because we're not going to want to. We may not want to own it. That we can create it for somebody else. Let them deal with that. That's actually perfectly fine. Um, and this current stick right here is kind of just used for this, but we'll figure something out. So this right here is going to be kind of the first um, piece that kind of has to go away. Um, so we'll provide. So this will the init joystick will pass the GUID to it that we want. And that'll go out and it'll search our list for one that matches the GUID. Probably actually end up sticking it in a map um, just to make it a little bit easier. It'll go ahead and create it, do the same type of initialization, and then return it. But the problem with that is that the configuration is going to have to know that it needs to use a GUID rather than a stick number. So that is going to be that's going to be kind of the first place that we're going to have to do something here to really get that kind of going. So what we need to do, and that is, I'm assuming that they're associating um, the stick number with the item that is in the drop-down box, so that you select that and you get it. Or maybe they're just using the index off of, hey, it's the index into this, but we're going to find out where did my. Okay, we get rid of utilities, we get rid of defines, we get rid of MC21. We want to keep that, and then we've got config. We'll move that. I'm going to commit that quick change for adding utilities. And I'm probably, let's see, and I'm probably just going to attach that to the yeah, last commit, because this is nothing real significant and it's all shit that I did within yesterday. So we're going to add that. So, so yeah, if you want to get involved in it, and this is one of the things that is, important, that the support for Visual Studio is certainly important. And supporting, Windows XP, still at this time is actually, still a worthwhile endeavor, but it doesn't need to be the primary one. So hopefully those patches that I made or submitted will get in, and that'll make it a little bit easier for people to kind of get up to speed, or be able to dive into it, without a lot of extra hassle. So that's certainly cool. So I mean, and you want to get familiar with Git. Uh, Definitely want to get familiar with Git. And Git's a wonderful tool. I mean, if you're not using Git even for your other Cocoa projects, I gotta ask why? Why not? So, all right. So, actually, one of the things that I'm hesitant, I'm really hesitant to separate this out, because this joystick config, you kind of want to look at it as two things. You've got the joystick, um, that kind of that core kind of, I don't know, I guess you call it lower level code, and then you've got your UI, and those things are two separate. But this has got everything baked into the config. Um, so yeah, even a little cleanup thing, I'm moving shit from one file to another. Test me. I'm grateful. So let's see. Okay, what we want to do here is, okay, so we've got our audio devices. We need, um, what are these? These are key names. Okay, that's the key names. That's fine. Okay, keyboard. Uh, well, where the hell? You know what? That should actually be easy, because it'll be accessing this. There we go. All right, so it's almost right on. I was right on top of it. Right on top of it. Gave up too soon. Gave up way too soon. Okay, so we got our add string, and okay, so we know that we've got one of our devices. Let's see if we can't, because yeah, it's just adding the name. It's not adding anything else. Um, all right, so this is code right here we have to use. We can still add stuff here from this list. Not a problem, not a problem. But we'll want to associate the GUID with that item that's been added somehow, um, and that will actually eliminate that. So this actually needs to be changed to a GUID. Okay. So what? Yeah, this configuration. Yeah, we want that to be a GUID. So okay, so that's cool. Okay, left.js, and this is all just the other. Yeah, all of these caches right here, ridiculously unnecessary. Ridiculously unnecessary. In fact, they shouldn't even be there. They shouldn't even be there. Just so let's see. Let's see where this is. Okay, so that's gonna be there. That's going back to that one. So that's actually pretty easy, and then we'll have to store that out. Okay. So yeah, I mean, and this is one of those things that it you have to do it in steps. I mean, if you go in and try to change everything at once, you're just gonna screw everything up. All right, so we've got IDC right joystick device. Why is that? All right, okay, so that's huh. Okay, well let's see where it's responding. Okay, we've got our init dialog. Let's get rid of that. So I wish I could actually. This is the one thing I don't like about Visual Studio. You can't collapse a case block. All right. The commands. Okay. Show mouse. Well, actually, it seems as though it is not responding to it. Hmm. All right. So let's take a look. Now I'm really rusty with my Win32 usage. It's been probably a decade since I've done anything with the Windows 32 with the Win32 API, particularly with the GUI. Uh, just not something that I could do. And even before that, it was minimal because I used MFC. I mean, everything that I did as far as visual Windows applications was all in MFC. So I haven't like really dove into anything Win32 API since probably 99, 2000-ish. So that was the last time. So all right, that is easy. Okay, so we know we've got right joystick and we've got left joystick. So we're gonna have to do this. Hmm, wait a minute. Let's actually that's I'm looking at the wrong one. Well, you know what? Make sure I'm looking at the right shit here. Dialog, joystick, left joystick device. Okay, just to make sure. Yeah, okay. Send message, add string. Okay, that's combo box. That's easy enough to do. So, but I need to associate that GUID with it. So, and of course, wprem is not used, so I'm going to have to add that. Yeah, get item data and set item. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Wow. Okay, well, that's easy enough to do. See, and this right here, you're going to see is why this is going to be a some consolidation of things because you'll see as I do it once here. Okay, auto. Let's see. You know, I wonder, and this is another thing I miss. Okay, change signature, move definition, location. Yeah, see in C sharp, I can just like hit the refactor key. We're gonna get rid of that. Um, yeah, I guess that's actually correct. See, and this is another problem because there's no guarantee that. I mean, never mind. I'm not gonna. This is just terrible. My music has gone off again. Oh, let's get some funky Cold Medina up there. All right, so set item data. All right, yep. Let's go back over here. Oh, we just came from add strings. So set item data. Now, this is only going to be, well, 32 or a 64-bit value. So and that poses kind of a problem. Hmm. So this is one of the reasons why I dislike the 132 API is it's really difficult to get RAII in there. And if you don't know what that is, it's resource acquisition is initialization. Look up smart pointers, a lot of references there. RAII, good thing to know. All right, so um, right joystick device, 0, and then our GUID data. But our GUID data, so this is where we have to take care because when the dialog is, if we allocate memory for this, if the when the dialog is destroyed, we have to remember to remove it, to delete it. And that's actually not too difficult, um, but something that you have to keep in mind. So let's do this. And actually, that's something that I actually need to add to the build and resubmit is the um, let's see, this is, and we'll get rid of this here soon. All right. Oh, oops. Reinterpret cast, and I should add that up there as well. Da, da, da. All right, so we got a GUID associated with the data. That's good. We'll have to remember to delete that. In fact, I'm gonna drop a note here just to remind myself. So after I get done with this stuff, I go through and I look for the fix-me's that I've added, and then I fix them and get rid of them. That way, when I commit it, hopefully there's no fix-me's laying around. Because I mean, if you're doing something with a fix-me, then it should be fixed. Actually, you know what? Let me take a look at, and let's actually, you know what? Let's do this. Add. All right. Control. Oops. This is index. and we want the dialog. All right, so we've got that, and we want to take our control ID here, and what is this? Input device info. All right, so take this. There. Now we're no longer dependent on at least this place here. So we've got that. All right, so we've got our item back in there, and we've got our instance squid, so we can do this down here and go here. DLG. Not the best solution, but it'll help us get to where we need to be. And then we can just get rid of all that shit, and we'll do the same thing here. Oops. And really, we can there we go. That's a little bit better because we actually don't, at this point, we don't give a shit. I mean, we're not saving the index, we're not doing anything, so. My cigarettes always go out. I don't know if it's, I think it's my ashtray. I think my ashtray hates me, man. I really do. I think it's jealous because I have two. One in here and one outside. I think it's jealous of the one that gets to go outside all the time. So, and we are going to need a function for this. Hmm. And hopefully, let's see, let's do a quick compile on that, make sure that I don't have any errors from this. Okay. So if I go down here and I change this to GUID, hopefully other stuff is going to blow up because it's a, yeah, see, it's not a pointer and it's not going to fit. So at least we know that when we do that, it's going to die. We'll have to add some functions here. Let's go over to our error list. Let's view. Let's see what error. Oh, God damn it, wrong one. Error list. All right, this is a little bit easier. Okay, no conversion to that exists. Awesome. Unsigned char exists. Okay. All right. So at least we've got an idea and we'll have an idea of some of the stuff like we have to do here. Most of this is like saving the stuff, so we'll change this to device ID. Um, and yeah, see again, this is where you've got you know essentially the same code doing the exact same thing if you pulled it, so this could easily be consolidated into a single function, and then I'd only have to do that shit once. So as I'm going through here, I'm going to be doing that, making a single function to support this, so I don't have to. I mean, if I'm going to write two things, then I'm not going to write the same thing twice. That's not something you want to really jump into. Oh, uh, AJ Jaquai. Is that how you pronounce his name, Jaquai? I'm going to assume that because I used to like Jamiroquai back in the day, and it sounds kind of similar. So probably butchering the guy's name. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to get to that question because that. So anyway, the question I'm actually looking at is he posted a thing in the VC thing. Does it make sense to get rid of rich edit in dialog so that we don't have to tie VCC to a specific version of the rich edit um, controls. And actually, I don't have an answer for that really. I mean, it's a common control. It's a standard control. I don't know if um, newer versions are necessary for what it's being used. In fact, the only place I think it's being used is in the debugger, in the new debugger in the breakpoints window. Now, me personally, I'm probably going to try pushing to change that maybe to a list box or some other control. Um, Wordshed just doesn't do it for me in that particular case. But I guess in my opinion, it's something like that. Just I don't know. It doesn't really seem necessary for what's being done in VCC, so I'm not sure if but at the same time, it you can go with Rich Edit what 2.0. You don't have to go to the latest version because there's nothing really requiring a newer version. So I'll have to respond to that later. Man, I got a lot of stuff to respond to today. Damn, it is already 2:30. I mean, how long have I been doing this? Like an hour and a half. Yes, almost, yeah, just an hour and 31 minutes. Wow. And I've been talking most of them. I haven't actually been doing much code. But that is about to change. Let me get another drink. Man, I am parched. So, yeah, I mean, actually working in VC is not necessarily difficult um, per se, but it is a little more time consuming um, because of the other changes that do have to be made, like this one right here. But at the same time, I think that if a bit of a focus is put on something like that, um, so more people can actually get involved in just doing it. I mean, and yeah, it's essentially it really is kind of grunt work, really. Um, Good place to cut your teeth, though. But yeah, the more that happens, the easier everything else can become. And there are some bugs in VCC that I would love to see fixed, and even some smaller ones that they're not really big, but they're minor. Like this one I ran into yesterday. You have your joysticks, or not, here in keyboard. When I go to edit, it automatically switches this over to custom. Now, of course, I clicked OK on that. Let's do natural, but let's do edit and cancel. Still doesn't. Still doesn't. So it's just a minor bug, but fixing little things like that allows, I mean, and if you're not like really up on C or C++, and but you do think you can fix it, try it. Because it's one less thing that other people have to deal with. So let's dive into this and start. So yeah, this is see all of this right here. This is where we're gonna get in our way. So private profile int. Let's see what others. Oh, that's a custom function in file ops. Lovely. All right. Validate path and then right profile int. All right. So we got right private profile string. And actually, there is a right private profile int. Shouldn't have to do that conversion. Or at least remember there being one. Yeah. Get private profile int. That's okay. It's going away anyway. Let's see. I may actually look this one up. Profile string. I mean, I guess I could convert the GUID to a string and then the string back to a GUID. I think that's how I used to do it. We got so atom names. That's yeah. Alrighty. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to dive in and start fucking stuff up. Ah, so let's get back over here into config. Let's do that. And you know what? We're just gonna so we're gonna keep this a GUID. We're gonna keep that a GUID just so that we know all the crap that we have to do. This is at least it's one of the first ones up there. So that's hmm. Let's see. You know what? Actually, I am going to. Let's get rid of. that. Let's open up another tab here. Um, oh, that's, oh, quid to string. And we'll do this because I really don't want to have to write it. Oh, string from GUID. Okay, perfect. That's in well, that's Codebase API. Uh, and the return value. Huh. Well, I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet, and I will configure it later if I have to. Oh, you know what? Actually, I've got to convert this to GUID first, or string first. Actually, you know what? Let me take a look at what I've done. I should probably condense this back down or drop some of the stuff into two function or a helper function. Okay, we got that. All right, so we've got our thing there. Okay, so we got GUID, add string. Okay, that is not going to, that should not. All right, so add combo. So let's make sure that we are deleting that shit first. And where is joystick config? Yeah, and I get a kick out of this joystick with stick being capitalized. All right, so where is our destroy? All right. Rename these later. When it becomes more prevalent. Okay, so we got that. We got the control ID. Actually, you know what? We'll do this because we're going to be real specific on this one. Okay, so this, go here. Oh, we can do this here. God damn it, what did I name that? Okay. All right, so we got that. Okay, so that's a combo box. So HTLG, CB, what is it? Get item, or get count. Yeah, get count. What? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, right. Uh, that would help. Get, let's see. And what is that? CB get item data. And so this is, and the reason why I really like kind of dislike doing stuff like this is this is probably the first time in, I don't know, close to a decade that I've used either new or delete. That's, I just have, since C++11 came out, I've had no reason to use it. I mean, every pointer that I have is wrapped in either a stud unique pointer or a stud shared pointer. So let's do this. This is going to be a reinterpret cast. GUID pointer equals, and this is going to be GUID. Actually, let me look at that. Let's see what that return value is. All right, so oops. Auto item data. See, this is one of the problems, particularly with dealing with something like this. Is my instinct right here is to throw an exception because you're destroying window, you really can't go anywhere from here, and something that should never happen. So we're going to throw an exception. At least we know what it is. All right, so actually we can just do this. Item. Okay, now we're back to compiling. So let's do this. Let's give it a run. I guess I should close that. No, I don't want to continue. Yeah, see, and then we get this. This is that error um, from the other day. Keyboard natural. Oh, and we're actually here where we want to test. Okay, so we got one item, so that's correct. I've got the one item in there, so we get that. Um, Actually, we can take a look at it down here. Watch. Well, that looks all right to me. And we delete it. All right, and we didn't get an error. So that's what. Anyway, something I was going to mention earlier, and I somehow got sidetracked, is that one of the things that I want to do after the breaking the dependency of C is to update it so that it reports resource leaks, memory leaks, and stuff like that. Because I've seen a few places in the code where it looks like there is some in there, um, but again, I'm not sure if the logic is right. So I do know that there was some leaks in the com stuff, which I fixed with that com pointer deleter or releaser. So all right, so we've got our GUIDs in now. That's good. So let's go ahead and commit that. Let's see. Uh, GUID with all right. And you notice that there's kind of a little bit of a lack of comments in some of the stuff that I'm doing. Well, really everything I'm doing now. I will go back and add some comments later, but I think mostly it's going to be pretty bare on that. And the reason for it is like I'm not going to say okay, I'm not going to write a comment here that says uh, delete. We're deleting. That we're delete what we're deleting. We're deleting all the items in the or the GUIDs in that box because you can read the code and pretty much tell that's what's going on. So typically when I write a comment, I'm typically writing something of why I'm doing it, not what I'm doing, because any developer that would be working on something like that eventually is going to understand that code um, based on their skill level, of course. But I mean, I'm a professional developer, so I develop as I would in a professional environment. Um, but yeah, I mean, a lot of comments are actually completely superfluous. They're unnecessary. Um, So let's see what we got. Okay, so we got all of that in there. So now let's go back into here and change that back to a GUID. And that's gonna like totally tear us up. So what we're gonna do here, well, first we're gonna break this up into two functions. Let's just move this down here. And this is something that as a whole um, I will be doing. Um, uh, at some point, probably not right away. But let's see, what is that first parameter's name? Let's see what we're dealing with here. Okay, section name, that's what we want. And yeah, we're just gonna do and we want the joystick. So that's controller configuration config. All right, so now we got to go through here and do this. Okay, and we're still getting that error right there, and we want to change this to section name. So if you're wondering what I did here to replace all of that, um, uh, Visual Studio for quite some time has had this nifty little feature for block selection. So I've got my mouse pointer here. Now I'm going to go down to here, but I hold not just down this because you hold the shift key and you select that whole block, but if you hold down the alt key and the shift key, it selects that as a block, and then I can just go like that and change the whole thing. And we actually want to do this. So yeah, anyway, this right here, this functionality for saving the configuration, that's going to be moved into a joystick specific kind of file because you'll have the joystick UI, you'll have the joystick management stuff, and then you'll have all the clients and all that shit that have to use it. Um, so we can go up here, and you know what? This up to here. Okay, we're at i9 file. So all right, here we go. Okay, so we want that and that. Yeah, okay, just got those two. And that replaces all of this. Oh, and I seem to be having some streaming problems. Um, my thing just went goofy. Stop streaming. That's okay. Oh yeah, I got some message to address. Okay, so we get rid of this. We've got right. Wow, it's I'm having some problems with my internet here. Let me see what's going on. I don't know. That's you know what? I don't think I can change my stream settings. Video output. Yeah. Oh wait, no, I can. Okay, and hopefully that'll help it a little bit. Error, your YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, such as viewers will experience. Let me open this up. Experience buffering. Okay, so that seems to be kind of correcting itself now. I don't. Yeah, I am seeing. I am noticing some lag there, but it seems to have corrected itself a little bit. I lowered my bit rate just a teeny bit. But yeah, I've been having problems with my internet the last couple of days. So, all right, so we consolidated that. Um, yeah, see, for the rest of the stuff, it doesn't, you really don't have, um, two kind of, two different things moving on. So we'll have to convert this to convert the GUID. Hmm. Right. Oh, wonder. Okay, right profile int section string struct. I don't remember that one. Is that new? It's in Winbase. Um, it's only for compatibility with 16-bit versions. But in this case, it actually makes sense. But damn it, oh well. And you get a checksum with it. Well, it's only for compatibility, but it doesn't say not to use it. But all right, so we're gonna do this. Um, God, absolutely hate buffers. So I wonder if I can get the length of it, because this is the thing about a lot of uh, Windows API functions is that for something like this where you're trying to get like the length of something or need a length of something, if instead of passing an address of a buffer, you can just pass null and it will actually return it for you. So let's do this. Uh, um, uh, what was that function that I'd pulled up? Get rid of that. String from GUID. String from GUID 2. Is that the one that I had up there? Oh, yep, it is. All right, so let's see. Yeah, usually they have some notes on it, but all right, so let's do this. Config dot, oops, let's change this. Null pointer, 0. And we're just gonna kind of do this as a test. And I have to change that device ID in a couple of other places. Oops. Wish it would not format that stuff. Yep, I'm not going to be able to do that. Bummer. So what I need to do here is make something that allows me to deal with that. Oops. So let's go back up a little bit. You know, that we're going to change back. 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 Okay. All right. Let's see. What was that? And we'll do this. Use this one first. We're going to have both of them. Doesn't matter if it works. Doesn't matter if it works because that's not what I mean. So I need to take a look at this because I'm hoping that this allows me to determine the size. I mean, although it's going to probably be a fixed size. Where did that damn function go to? Oops. Right, joystick configuration. All right, here we go. Oh, I guess I should do this. Hmm. Ah, only does it on exit. Result 0. Yep, that's what I thought. So let's do this. Let's do another test because I specified 0 is 20. Just exit, and it's got to come back as 0 again. All right. I fucking hate doing this stuff. So let's see if there's some guidance on this. And that's going to be a wide character. So, all right. Well, let's see if there's not actually. Oh, okay. Well, that's better. That's the same thing, but we have to release it. So, still not a good enough option, man. Let's see what other functions does it say? It doesn't have a string from CLSID. And let's see, GUID from. Okay, UUID from string is what we're going to want to use for that, if I remember right. Take a look at that. Yeah. So, all right. Fucking imperative programming, man. Let's check my stream. Okay, my stream is still good. Awesome. All right, so let's see. That was hmm? Oh, holy care. Duh. God. Oh, make sure I got the return value covered, because in this particular case, it should never fail. Um, so, and since this is a value that's managed by us, and any of these that pop up something like this, I mean, there needs to be a way to gracefully handle it, and if you can't handle it, you don't want to let it go unreported. So, uh, oops. Oh, raw. I'm pretty sure I've already got a function in here for this. Pretty damn sure. In fact, I think it's a debugger utils. No, well, I guess I could copy it over. I'll have to look at my other branch. I've already got a conversion function in there that actually, you know what? I don't think that is correct either. Um, let's see, merge, create branch, create tag. Let's just do show ref log head. Wow. Oh, heads. Updates for the debugger. All right. Yeah. Figured I would have updated that. There's a couple of updates that I need to do that though. Yeah. Oh wow, no, I didn't. I didn't put it in there. Hmm. Oops. Yeah, I really need to clean some of that stuff up. Alrighty. Well, where did I put that up and where was I using that? That's a good question. That would have been in the breakpoints. Actually, I would have put that up at the top. Bummer. It's actually a fair amount of code, so probably spent more time now looking for it than I would have doing it. So let's find. Oh well, maybe I removed it. New breakpoint, remove breakpoint. Yeah, see, the only problem I actually had with the debugger stuff wasn't actually the implementation as much as it was just kind of the overall organization, which was a really a side effect of well, the current code base. Um, so I went and fixed it. The well, I didn't really fix it, rearranged it more or less um, to kind of break that away from that. Um, Still got some work to do on it though, but yeah, I'd say overall I think the debugger is going to be. I mean, first of all, I think it's a great addition, but I think it's going to be. I think it'll get a lot better. I mean, I know there's some new um, new updates that are being made to it. Some I think a couple more functions and all that. That's fine. I personally prefer that any issues be fixed in it first, but um, that's fine. Let's see. So now I got a problem with that. So let's see what we got here. Where was I? Okay, config. Yes, I know it's incompatible. You know what? I'm gonna do some cheap shit right now. Um, I don't know. If string is actually gonna take that because, yeah. But who knows? Yeah, see, that's not gonna. Yeah, I didn't think it would, but I was hoping. All right, so what do we do with this? I guess. Doom, 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 doom. Oh, that's right. We've got that control path there. Do 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 do. You know what? Actually, well, there we go. All right, I'm gonna find that damn thing because it's actually a pretty good piece of code, and um, I want to make sure that I get it in the same place. Well, I don't know where the hell I put that piece of code at, but let's go to here. Breakpoints. There we go, right there. No, maybe I replaced that. Oh, that's set the, yeah, okay, here we go. Oh, yeah, right here. I did reduce it. So yeah, this right here is actually deprecated. That's um, what I was looking for. So we're just gonna do this here. And we want to see it. Oh, cool. There we go. At least it works for it because there's a lot of things in the in when working in C++ that just becomes like not available. There we go. Yeah. All right. Let's give that a quick test. Make sure that we're getting all the values that we need. All right, so we get that. We get that. We got our GUID string. Whoa. Oh, because device ID is 0. Why? Oh, I know why. Get rid of that, and we want to go over to here. All right. DI, isn't that? Yeah, DI device. Where the hell? Huh. All right, so let's go back up over here to our enum. Okay, so we got oh, I know why. Yeah, because that actually is not set. All right, okay, so that's perfect. We're not propagating that yet. Uh, Perfect. Okay, so oops. So we'll go over to here and config. Yeah, now we're getting it. All right. You know what? I'm going to add a new function. Make this just a little bit easier because all right, let's take okay, D word. Actually, you know what? Let's go over to here. Oh, okay, section name, key name, GUID. Okay, we're gonna do this. Right profile. Oh, oops, right. Private profile, GUID. And we're gonna do this. Constant um, section name, key name, and let's see then. And then get this down here. It's a good thing I actually had this afternoon to do something. All right, so we got that, and we're just gonna take all this shit. Whoops, we don't want that. We want a GUID. Or we just be doing the same thing we just were replacing. I'm gonna take this. It's device ID, GUID, and then this is, all right. And then that's a write private profile string. Oops. Oh, it's GUID string. iPath. And then we'll just return the value from that. All right. So we've got that. Yeah, this is an irritating step. All right, so they got right profile it, and I need my music. Oh, crisscross. Jump. Mm. Okay, so we've got our stuff should be saving. We're just gonna hit a breakpoint right there. All right, and of course that's gonna be 0. Got our GUID text, which is all zeros, GUID string, right, private profile. All right, so section name is all right. So let's check out this. Let's see, run. All right. Wow, that's a lot of shit. Yeah. System, HP, local machine. Actually, current user should be in software. I see no VCC there. Docker, screen builder. The hell? Liberals cut their own wrist application? I don't know what the fuck that is. All right, so where is VCC? Huh. Is that actually not saved to? I can skip this part. This is classes, damn. Blend? Let me find out where the maybe it is loaded from a config. Let's see. I don't think it is though. don't have a INI file here, and there's not one in here. Yeah, so it's got to be saved to the registry. But let's check this out. Oh, app data roaming VCC. Okay. Let's see, what was that? App data roaming. Ah, there we go. Let's take a look at this. Well, that is good to know because that means that we can go in and modify it. Okay, so there we go. We got our device ID in there. So that's good. And of course, DI device is still there. So that's good. All right, now let's do a commit to that. Okay, we can do this. And you know what? My battery is just said it's going low. And that's the thing. I charged it up, and then it said, talk time 11 hours. Ain't been 11 hours, yo. So all right, added device ID is good. And I will be, certainly cleaning all that up. Oops. All right, so let's, yeah, so there we go. Awesome. So we're gonna, we'll get rid of that, get rid of string, debugger utils, and disassembly, and we'll just exit out of that. All right, so we're gonna keep this open for a little bit longer. And okay, so we got device ID. Now that we've got our right private profile GUID, we're probably gonna want to write a read private profile GUID. Now, you might be wondering, why would I put all that into a separate function instead of just doing that here? It's because this is something I expect that I will be using in other places. Plus, it just makes it look better. And here you've got everything right there without having any additional code. You can say, okay, we're writing all this shit. All right, so we got that. So what we need is DI device. Yeah, of course that's all in config. Oh, get profile GUID. Yep. So before we do that, break that shit down. I should probably, I should just assume that everything I'm going to do is going to be reducing code somewhere or consolidating code. Okay, so we got this. We're going to take this and we are going to apply. Yeah, I have to rename that. All right, so actually, let's this up here. We're gonna right here. There we go. Oops. Oops. All right, so okay, that all looks good. We're gonna go down here. Wait, I just copied that up there. I didn't delete it. And there we go. And we go to here, do the same thing. There. That makes our, and reduced our overall, read INI file, kind of thing. So you don't have to have everything in there. Oh, duh. Oh my goodness, there's another. As I know, I gotta reply to this or it's gonna bug me. Oops, component. And maybe I should, I gotta check something real quick. Um, all right, EM. requirement on newer. All right. All right. So we got that one done. Awesome. Let's see what we have here. Wow. Uh, man. Anyway, so back to work. All right, so we got our writer, our write controller config, and our read controller config. All right, so we got all that, and then yeah, actually let's maybe we should probably test it um, just a little bit. So now that we've got this in there, we'll have to uh, associate it a little bit more with, or have to update it to find um, which item in that combo box has the. Oh, I did not update this. Duh. I guess I should do that. Oh yeah, I guess I guess it would be nice if I implement it. So you know what, we're just gonna test that. We're gonna test the or do a quick test of this code. So this should be fine. I don't. We got our INI path, our section names, and then we're doing the config, and then we're bringing it back here. Yep, that's right. And 0 because there's only one. And iris type is normal. All right, I like it. So let's do this. Yeah, like set stick numbers. That's oh, that's right where we're going. Okay, says what? Wow. Yeah, see, duplicating this kind of stuff is even worse. I mean, I can get the whole copy and paste with the thing, but this kind of stuff is terrible. All right, so this right here is where we've got to kind of select it. Set current selection. So we'll need to find that and leave it unselected if there isn't one. So we got that. We'll have to do that twice. That's easy enough. All right, so then we got refresh our joystick status, and so yeah, that's going to have a huge impact. So anyway, so this time I talk about anyway. I've actually got to go for a little bit, and I should probably charge my headset. So I'm going to do a part two or part three later on today. So I've actually got enough time that I'm actually gonna devote some time to extending this. So anyway, I am done for right now. I'm going to take a break because I've been doing this for what 2.5 hours now. So yeah, I'm gonna take a break. Um, anyway, so hope you the the like two people who listened enjoyed it. But yeah, I'll do one tonight, and we'll actually be able to do a bit more code. Um, so, but anyway, until later, have a good one.